the ongoing battle over the billions of dollars earned in college sports.
We're going to school for free. We're meeting all of their needs.
You might make a lot of money if you get into the pros, and yet less than 1% of the people make it.
Each round, each pick that goes by means less money for him if he eventually gets picked.
Do you think you would have left college early if you had been in some way compensated throughout college?
No, honestly.
The cost for broadcast rights to air the games of professional sports has soared over the last 10 years, generating billions upon billions of dollars for their respective leagues. Pro athletes have had a share in these rising profits. However, college athletes haven't. Now, next week, college basketball's biggest draw, the NCAA Final Four, comes to a close. A single 30-second ad during this event costs more than $1 million. In fact, the NCAA will make around $1 billion this year. But the NCAA forbids any kind of compensation for college players beyond the cost of their education. Now, many see this as exploitation and unfair, given that most college athletes won't make it to the pros. Gianna Tabone spent a year following both sides of this growing debate.
College sports have become so popular that the 5 biggest conferences made more than $6 billion last year alone. With so much money being made off of games played by college kids, we wanted to understand the demands of being a student athlete. So we caught up with Michigan State's basketball team as they flew on a privately chartered jet.
Is it tough to take advantage of your education when basketball is so demanding?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what a lot of people don't see, you know, being a student athlete, missing a lot of school. And, you know, one time, my freshman year, we played Duke, and we got home at 3 in the morning, and I had an 8 a.m., and I had to be there. So a lot of people don't see that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, it's a sacrifice, but it's worth it.
Do most people see it as a full-time job?
Yes, fully. If you ask anybody on this team, they would tell you that this is their job because that's what it is. I mean, we put in just as many hours as someone who works at 9 to 5. And that's what it seems like, through school and weights and film and travel and all the different things and working on your game, put in the extra time, all those different things, it just adds up.
And what they wanted to add up to is the next step, the pros.
What do you hope to do after college?
If it's in God's will, I want to go to the NBA.
What are you hoping to do after college?
I want to play professional basketball.
While that dream is common, Hall of Fame coach Tom Izzo explained to us how rare achieving it actually is.
I mean, I got managers that think they're going to the NBA. It's just the nature of the beast, and it's not an easy task to accomplish. But even if you do become a pro, you're probably going to live another 50 years. And having your education, your degree, I think will help you in a lot of ways. Every guy that you recruit thinks he has a chance, and yet less than 1% of the people make it.
While the vast majority of these players never make it to the pros, the NCAA identifies them as amateurs, strictly forbidding them from profiting off of not just their ability, but their name, image, and likeness. This led to a now infamous case brought by former player Ed O'Bannon, who sued the NCAA for profiting off of his likeness over a decade after he left school.
Close to 15 years later, and they're still making money off of my image.
The federal court system decided that the NCAA's amateurism rules were an unlawful restraint of trade, but the ruling did not call for schools to pay the players directly. Some players think they're being ripped off, and a new lawsuit is directly challenging the NCAA's model. O'Bannon and other cases have targeted certain elements of the NCAA's business model. Your case would fundamentally change college sports.
We hope it will fundamentally change college sports.
Jeffrey Kessler changed the NBA and NFL after pursuing groundbreaking litigation that freed up players to bargain for much higher salaries as free agents.
What these players want is fair treatment. That's all that they've ever been seeking. The players will get their day in court.
And now, Kessler has trained his sights on the NCAA.
These athletes, they don't get paid, but everybody else does. It's not fair and it's not legal. What we're trying to do is empower the schools and the conferences to make their own choices about what's fair for the players. That's all, very simple. This is a freedom of choice case.
Former Clemson cornerback Martin Jenkins is leading the charge in this new case. While playing for a sports program that brought in more than $70 million in revenue a year, he was not allowed to profit.
To the 10, and he scores!
Why did you join this lawsuit?
I don't want to see college athletes struggle when the school that they're working for technically is making hundreds of millions of dollars off of them.
Did you expect to make it to the NFL?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What happened when you graduated college?
I had 4 surgeries in college. Tore my labrum, had surgery on that. Tore my groin, had surgery on that. A tore ligament in my foot, had surgery on that. And a tore ligament in my thumb, had surgery on that. When I graduated, I initially went to a training camp, went to rookie camp with the New York Jets. Same kind of thing persisted, had some injuries. So after giving it a couple tries, I said, you know, it's kind of time to hang it up.
You spent years playing football and suffering injuries, and you couldn't profit off of your athletic ability during those years. You graduated, and it was injuries that, in part, took you out of the game. Do you think that your prime earning years were when you were in college?
Yeah, I can actually agree with that, yes.
The case that you guys are bringing could really change the future of college sports.
In a very strong, positive way. If the schools are allowed to decide how to compensate these players, we believe they'll do the right thing and the fair thing.
So schools wouldn't be required to pay athletes, they'd be allowed to. And
That's
from there,
right.
the market would decide.
Just like the market for anybody else in entertainment or anybody else in sports or anybody else who has a job. You let the employers decide what's the fair competition, and then the marketplace reaches a decision on that. The money is there.
That same approach was applied to free agency and pro sports, just as that market was ballooning as new broadcasting and licensing deals added billions to bottom lines. But introducing a free market in college sports could spark even more dramatic effects. We wanted to understand both sides of this debate, but the NCAA and 30 universities declined our request to speak on the topic. One of the few schools willing to talk to us was Texas Tech.
Football season in Texas. We're at Texas Tech. They're playing KU, and fans are going nuts.
Texas Tech is expected to generate $80 million in revenue this year alone. But as athletic director Kirby Hocutt showed us, the debate over player pay becomes more complicated when the cost of running a Division I athletics program is considered.
This is our football training facility. This is the hub of Texas Tech football. Take a peek into our team meeting room facility. It's our team meeting room. It gives Coach Kingsbury an opportunity to address the entire team at one time.
I don't think I've been in a nicer corporate meeting room than this one.
It serves its purpose. Texas Tech University has invested over $200 million in the last decade into its athletics facilities.
Hundreds of millions of dollars are invested directly into expenses like world-class facilities and personal salaries. But while the coaches and administrators are compensated well, what they're able to directly provide athletes is closely regulated.
There's always sandwiches, lunch meats, bagels.
So before a couple years ago, you couldn't have sandwiches and Gatorades and things for the student athletes.
You were limited in what type of snacks you could provide and when you could provide those. The NCAA has taken great steps forward.
Does the athletic department turn a profit?
We do. We've been in a positive financial position for the 5 years that I've been at Texas Tech University, and The athletics department in the past 15 years has invested over $300 million into our athletic facilities. We have 415 student athletes competing in 17 sports. They are receiving a free education that's covering their tuition, their fees, room, books, and then board, their living expenses. And then on top of that, this is our second year to provide cost of attendance on top of the full scholarship. At Texas Tech University, the full cost of attendance is an additional $4,820. If the day comes and there are additional payments to select student athletes that are required, you have to consider elimination of opportunities. I've been in a position before where I've had to eliminate sport programs, and I hope that I'm not in that position ever again to have to take opportunities away from young people.
While colleges say they need this revenue to provide scholarships, programs, and facilities, economists like Rodney Fort see nothing but record growth and record spending.
All schools can afford to pay players, all of them. If my revenues and expenditures are going up at the same rate because money that's being generated by players is being spent on coaches and administrators and facilities, then the money to pay the players is already there. The fact that you're not allocating the money to the players doesn't mean that you couldn't. And that's the fallacy.
How has the NCAA changed over the last 30 years?
The rise and impact of television and now video streaming, it's changed it into an activity where the conferences that can generate the most money are also in control of how it gets distributed. The reason that amateurism exists is because it allows the university discretion over a larger portion of the amount of revenues that get generated by the athletic department than they would otherwise have. And that discretion comes at the expense of the athletes.
Is there something contradictory about schools making money any way they can off of college sports and then not allowing the athletes, who arguably are the ones generating the money, make a profit?
Many people wonder if this is an outright exploitation. As an economist, I look at that and say, well, yes, that's exactly what they're doing.
But the NCAA goes farther than preventing athletes from sharing in the school's revenues. Their 400-page rulebook prohibits the athletes from making any money off of their athletic ability. So each year, new controversies make headlines across the country. But what many don't know is that these same rules apply to athletes before they even graduate high school.
Tournament, and all of these high school kids are showing off their skills for all the top college coaches that are sitting right here. And everyone here is wearing Under Armour.
We asked Coach Antoinette Bennett to explain how Under Armour benefits from hosting these tournaments for high school athletes.
What's the brand's role in all of this? Brand awareness. You're letting the kids see the brand early on, so that if they happen to maybe to go pro, then, you know, they've already got a stamp on them.
One of Coach Bennett's players, David Beatty, was among the top prospects at this tournament. He explained how this branding works for the athletes.
This is sponsored by Under Armour. You wear that gear?
It's very, hair strict too. They want you wearing strictly Under Armour.
Except you're wearing Nike.
That's our secret. That's our secret. I mean, they ain't see that.
You like Nike too?
Yeah, I like Nike. I came from Nike school. It's good.
What's that mean?
St. Benedict's, we sponsored by Nike.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, so your high school's sponsored by Nike?
Now I'm at.
And now it's sponsored by Under Armour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Under Armour do a real good job of supplying gear for teams. They just give us a lot of stuff so we could just look good while we win.
The reason brands give these kids free gear is because it amounts to free advertising. Something that became clear when we visited David's home.
Holy shit.
Because I got sneakers in my mom's car, I have sneakers at my friend's house. You could pick out any basketball shoe and I got a story for each one.
What about the Terminator ones on the end?
I got those for Dick's Nationals, played on Espn, and for like 5 minutes, started hurting my feet, took them off. First time I wore them, last time I wore them.
How much do you think it's all worth?
Probably like 10,000.
Because you're not getting paid right now, why not just sell your shoes, help out your family?
Because with the NCAA rules, it's like a violation, and they'll try like investigate and do all this other crazy stuff just to like stop you from going to college and playing basketball.
Even during high school, a violation of NCAA rules could cost David a chance at going to one of the many colleges which are recruiting him.
We love you, we care about you, and we want you.
And dozens of universities are offering him that exact opportunity as long as he follows the NCAA rules.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's like I got a lot of sneakers. Like, why can't I give sneakers to other people, or why can't I help out my family? Because we need the money.
That has David and his mother holding out hope that one day he'll be able to profit off of basketball.
I had to just start answering calls because I'm not sure if it's a bill collector or a college recruiter. So I answered everybody's calls, and most of the time it was somebody calling saying they wanted my son. With all this money these colleges make off these kids, they should get a little something.
But the man who designed the system behind David's sneakers, Sonny Vaccaro, never intended for the players themselves to be left out.
You paved the way for big brands like Nike to make money off of amateur athletes. How did you do that?
I was sort of an out-of-the-box guy, and when I finally got to Nike, all I did was go there with an idea. I said, you guys want to get involved in college basketball? They said, yeah, well, how do you do that? And I said, pay the coaches money for being consultants for Nike, and we will give the shoes to the schools that they represent. They will put them on the feet of the athletes, and you'll get exposure. I didn't talk to ADs. I didn't talk to school presidents. I talked to Jerry Tarkanian, Jimmy Valvano, Eddie Sutton, John Thompson. I mean, I talked to the coaches who at that time weren't making the multi-million-dollar contracts. They were working for $30,000 or $40,000. By 1982, every college coach worth their salt was getting paid by a shoe company.
How did Nike profit off of that model?
First year, we had 7 or 8 schools. Year 2, we had close to 80. They profited off of it because they, and what the world would then see, are the athletes or the endorsers sell the product. My thought was then, is now, and has proven to be one of the greatest marketing moves in the history of anything. By the time the world woke up, we had everybody. The system I created was beautiful. The only thing that morphed into the reality of it all is the athletes should have walked lockstep with the universities and the coaches.
It's not just that they haven't walked lockstep. While players are still prohibited from profiting in any way, their coaches' salaries have skyrocketed. 82 coaches across the country make more than $2 million a year. The University of Michigan's football coach makes $9 million a year. And at in-state rival Michigan State, the head football and basketball coaches each make more than $4 million a year. Helping to fuel these salaries, the biggest conferences have their own TV networks that reach tens of millions of viewers on top of lucrative deals with major TV networks. While filming Michigan State's 49-0 victory over Rutgers, we experienced firsthand the business of college sports.
The Big Ten Network told us yesterday that in order to use the footage that we film in the stadium today, we have to license it for $129 a second, minimum 30 seconds, which means that me talking to you right now is costing us at least $1,000.
In total, we were charged more than $3,000 to show game footage we shot ourselves of one of the most lopsided games of the college football season. But even this blowout could be indicative of the huge role money plays in college sports today. Rutgers went 0-9 in a new conference this season, and many believe they were only placed there to generate revenue.
Competitive levels have been thrown out completely because it's all about what schools can make you the most TV dollars as a conference.
When Rutgers and Maryland joined the conference, the Big Ten Network expanded its regional reach, and its audience jumped from 52 million to 60 million. And then the Big Ten made 3 major TV deals valued at $2.64 billion. Michigan State's athletic director Mark Hollis, who made more than $900,000 last year, talked to us about how these deals influence conferences.
Rutgers, Maryland joined the Big Ten in 2014, and before that, there was no presence in that TV market in New York, New Jersey. Of course, that brought in 8 million more households, which means more ad revenues, right, which makes those TV deals much more lucrative. So are those TV deals in some ways dictating which teams are in which conferences?
I think the commissioners that helped guide those decisions were doing so in a way to create the type of resources that we can to keep the services for our student athletes in a way that are either at the level we have or even greater.
I think also what people wonder, though, is why players then can't take advantage of that, why they can't be benefiting, or why they're limited in how they benefit from these deals.
I think players are benefiting from it. Student athletes today are, provided with the opportunity to receive a lot of benefits from apparel to travel to medical, food. You give them every opportunity that you can, academically, athletically, and socially, to be successful.
But are they really getting the opportunity to get an education?
Can you guarantee a degree? No. Can you guarantee that they're getting the right education? No. You can give them the ingredients and the opportunity for success.
But many college athletes grow frustrated with NCAA's system and see pursuing some kind of money during their prime earning years as more beneficial than finishing their education. Peyton Barber was a running back for Auburn, one of the top football schools in the country.
See Barber, he elevates. I think that ball makes it this time.
You ever wonder, you're like out on the field and you see all the fans and the jerseys and all the stuff being sold, and you ever wonder where that money goes?
All the time. We bring in the majority of the money for a school, $80 million to $100 million a year.
Do you see it as a job?
Oh, definitely. I mean, getting up at 5:45 in the morning, going to work out, the practice, you have meetings all day, and I mean, your day's really not over until 8 or 9 o'clock.
After making the SEC honor roll in his sophomore season, money issues led Peyton to leave college football and take his chances in the NFL draft.
I don't know if anybody really knows my mom. She's homeless right now, so it's kind of doing it for her.
At what point did you decide that you were going to declare for the draft?
We've been having like some family, problems for a while. When you come home, and it's like, including me, it's like 5 people sleeping in one room sometimes. That's a hard thing to see. Like, I just wanted to help my family out and provide for them.
Kind of like wanted to cry when I heard him say that. I want Peyton to get his education.
Do you think you would have left college early if you had been in some way compensated throughout college?
No, honestly.
What's today?
Today would be the day that I'm predicted to go in the draft. So we'll just have to see.
The NFL Draft has finally arrived. With the first pick, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Goff.
Experts predicted Peyton would be picked in the last 4 rounds of the draft. So on the 3rd and final day of the draft, Peyton and his friends gathered at a driving range to celebrate his new career in the NFL.
I love you, brother. You too, man.
Yeah, man, how you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Just waiting?
Yeah. What if I get a call sometime soon? You know Travis Feeney?
I know who he is.
He got drafted. The Gainesville number calling me. I don't know. Hello? Hey. Hey. Nah, not yet. I don't know. Trying to see. Football is football. I'm fine.
Each round, each pick that goes by means less money for him if he eventually gets picked. It's just kind of like the not knowing, the uncertainty that's the toughest part today.
Alex Collins got picked up by the Seahawks. Hello. Okay. Hey, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. All right, Coach. All right. Just keeps on talking about like free agency if I don't get picked up and stuff like that.
Undrafted players still have an opportunity to sign pro contracts, but they have a slimmer chance of making teams and receive far less money.
This is kind of embarrassing. This is why I won. I didn't want to invite this many people.
What's going on right now? This is an okay time.
We've had about 12 teams that have been calling, and they want him automatically for free agency.
Yeah.
So what they're doing right now is making some offers of what they would offer, basically, as far as for him signing on as a free agent. We have to make a decision within the next couple of minutes. Do you want it? It's Tampa. What do you say?
Sure.
Huh?
Yeah.
Done deal? Tampa.
Peyton received a small signing bonus, but wasn't offered a salary to attend the NFL's Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp. He was initially cut from the team, but then made it to the active roster after a series of running backs were injured.
Boy, the Bucs clicked. And this is your ball game right here. Peyton Barber, his first NFL touchdown, a 44-yarder.
Peyton has been able to stay on the active roster all season, but there's little security in the NFL.
The money's definitely been helping us out a lot. But new guys coming in every day, you know, competing for the same spot that you have. So this can be here today, it could be gone the next. Average lifespan of a running back is 2.5 years or something like that.
As revenues continue to grow, the pressure on the NCAA to resolve this issue is only mounting. The Jenkins case is expected to be in court within a year, and the result could be the end of amateurism.
We have some challenges that we have to fix in college sports. I'd like to see student athletes get something. It's getting the apartment, it's getting the car, it's being able to live. Can we do better? Absolutely.
Intercollegiate athletics is the second highest provider of college scholarship behind the GI Bill. So when you look at the educational opportunities that are afforded to young people today through participation in college sports, it's significant.
So let's understand the hypocrisy. There are no games without the players. They're selling them. They're not giving you a $50,000 education or cost of living. They're giving you a seat in the classroom. It's a goddamn chair.
Thousands of student athletes will enter the NCAA next year. David is one of them.
Basketball is not guaranteed. And I always tell them, take advantage of these colleges because they're going to take advantage of you.
What is life for you like?
Beban kita sebagai algojo untuk mengeksekusi seseorang.
On the next episode of Vice, Indonesia's internal struggle over Sharia.
Yang mana yang melanggar dalam aturan-aturan agama Islam tetap kami tindak.
The fundamental of Islam is to help each other. We're the fundamentalists, they're the extremists.
Then, the monumental effort to clean up the plastic in our oceans.
If we carry on, there will be more plastic away in the ocean than fish.
The simpler a solution can be, the better. We should be ready to start the largest cleanup in history by 2020.
It's an all-new episode of Vice.